Revealed, how a maid's unexpected act transformed the lives of a millionaire's two blind children. Claire walked briskly through the gilded gates of the millionaire couple's home, heart heavy with the weight of responsibility. As a devoted maid at the affluent property, she was the unseen force that kept their luxurious lives running smoothly. But beyond the pristine lawns and shiny cars, she battled her own struggles, striving to provide a better life for her daughter, Lily. If only they could grasp that, like the manicured hedges surrounding their mansion, she too wanted to cultivate something beautiful for her family. Miss Claire. Ethan and Ava chimed as she entered the living room, their cheerful voices like bright beacons in the sometimes oppressive wealth that surrounded them. The twins, blind from birth, found sanctuary in Claire's presence. They were often sidelined, trapped within the walls of their luxurious prison, feeling their parents' wealth but never their warmth. Claire knelt beside them, her gentle touch guiding them through a world that looked down on their differences. She remembered her own childhood dark days spent worrying about bills, now replaced by the anxious tugs of motherhood. What she lacked in financial security, Claire made up for in grit and determination. Over time, her bond with the twins grew, and they started believing in themselves. Little moments of laughter marked the days, when Ava showed off her new hairstyle or Ethan managed to navigate the hallway without help. Before we continue, she paused, smiling down at them, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Just as Claire watched Ethan and Ava bloom, an unexpected incident at school shattered their budding confidence. A minor emergency during a class presentation left them shaken, feelings of inadequacy creeping back in like an uninvited guest. Claire sensed their despair and knew she had to act. She drew on her own memories, recalling her battles with self-doubt. This was her moment to shine, to lift their spirits. Listen, she whispered, retelling stories from her own childhood. If I can fight for my dreams, so can you. The spark ignited in their eyes, and together they began to confront their fears. Each day, they nurtured their newfound independence, laughing louder, taking risks, and embracing the world around them, but that connection didn't go unnoticed. The millionaire couple, uncomfortable with Claire's growing influence, saw their authority slipping. In a wave of anger and denial, they dismissed her, cold and unyielding. Tension filled the air, and Claire felt torn. From the love she had for the twins to the loyalty she owed to their parents, her world spun wildly. Will Claire's fierce determination for the twins and her dream for her own daughter prevail against the class barriers that sought to keep them apart? As secrets hung in the air, the stakes rose higher, and hearts raced. Claire stood ready to challenge the injustices of their worlds. Would hope, hard work, and compassion guide them to a brighter tomorrow? The answer felt just out of reach as the chapter closed, leaving the future uncertain yet thrillingly alive. The following day, Claire woke before dawn, the soft light of morning filtering softly through her bedroom window. She needed clarity. The decision to be let go from the mansion weighed heavily on her. Ethan and Ava relied on her more than ever, and as much as she wanted to thrive in a different environment, leaving them behind felt impossible. She made herself a cup of coffee, its warmth wrapping around her like a comforting hug. As she lingered by the window, watching the first birds dance across the sky, an idea sparked. If she lost her position, maybe it was time to create something of her own. Would she dare to dream that big? An hour later, Claire was back at the mansion, determined to help the twins face their fears. Today was their school's talent show. She knelt beside Ava, who sat nervously at the edge of the couch. What if I mess up? Ava whispered, her voice trembling. You won, Claire replied fiercely. Just think of how proud your mom and dad will be when they see you shine. Remember our practice? You've got this. Ethan joined in, his enthusiasm infectious. Exactly. We've worked so hard. Imagine the smiles on everyone's faces. A glimmer of hope sparked in Ava's eyes. You're right. I can do this. The determination in both twins sent a rush of warmth through Claire. They took a deep breath together, ready to embrace the day. The talent show drew closer, filled with excitement and anticipation. Parents buzzed around the auditorium, but Claire kept a close eye on Ethan and Ava. Her heart felt like it could burst from pride as they took the stage. She watched as they stood shoulder to shoulder, courage radiating off them. When Ava began to sing, her voice pure and true, the room fell silent. Claire held her breath, her heart hammering. Ava's voice was tinged with emotion, emerging like sunlight breaking through clouds. The audience was captivated. Claire could see her fellow workers and parents in the crowd, some wiping tears from their eyes. When it was Ethan's turn to assist with the performance, he supported Ava like always, guiding her hand gently as they danced together. Laughter erupted, people were moved, touched by the bond that radiated between the two. Claire felt a rush of tears. This was about so much more than talent. This was about love, courage, and the strength found in unity, but not everyone was pleased. From the back of the room, Claire caught the sharp gaze of the couple who owned the mansion. Their rigid expressions darkened the light in Claire's heart. She knew they were watching, exchanging whispers that threatened to pull the night into shadow. As the twins finished their performance, the applause erupted, echoing off the walls. They had succeeded against the odds. Claire rushed to embrace them, feeling the electric joy coursing through her. "I'm so proud!" she exclaimed, holding them close. But deep inside, a struggle began to simmer. Even amidst victory, Claire felt the impending confrontation looming, a clash between her loyalty to the twins and the weight of the couple's disapproval. Would this newfound spark of hope cost her everything? As the applause faded and reality set in, the path forward became clouded. The cheerful moments were slipping away faster than they arrived. Just then, a voice behind her shattered the moment. "Claire, we need to talk." The chill in that voice sent a shiver down her spine. What was coming next, and how would it change everything she had just fought for? The moment hung heavy in the air, the echoes of the applause still resonating like a distant memory. Claire turned slowly, her heart sinking as she faced the couple who owned the mansion. Mr. and Mrs. Howard stood there, their expressions twisted into something that felt far removed from joy or pride. The warmth of the talent show melted away like ice on a summer's day. "Can we have a word, please?" Mrs. Howard's voice was smooth but edged with steel, each word chosen like a blade. Claire's stomach twisted, dread pooling inside her. Sure," Claire replied, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask. She stepped away from Ethan and Ava, who were still basking in the glow of their success, but noticed her hesitation. Ethan looked worried, while Ava's eyes were searching. "Just 1 minute. We'll be right back," Claire assured them, though her voice trembled. She followed the Howards, their presence looming like a storm cloud. They walked to a quieter corner of the auditorium where the buzz of the crowd faded into a distant hum. Claire squared her shoulders, preparing for the onslaught. She had stood by the twins through every challenge, convinced they were worth fighting for, but now doubt crept in faster than she could process. "Your little performance was charming," Mr. Howard began, his lips twitching into a tight smile that felt all wrong. "However, it's not our tradition to allow staff to mingle with our guests in such a way. It simply crosses boundaries." Claire blinked, her heart racing. "They worked hard, Mr. Howard. They deserved the spotlight, just like every other child. It's about support and support." Mrs. Howard interrupted, her voice rising an octave. "Our children are not just another performance. This is a brand, a reputation. You can't just smudge it with your antics. We can't have you building a bond that could threaten our family's name." Claire felt the warmth drain from her cheeks. Building a bond is not a threat, it's what they need. They're just kids. "I don't understand." Mr. Howard stepped closer, leaning in with a condescending smirk. "What you don't understand," Claire, is that being part of our household comes with expectations. It seems you've gotten too close for comfort. We'll be reconsidering your position here." Each word hit like a slap. Panic surged through her. Loss. It threatened to choke her. She thought of Ethan and Ava, the hope in their eyes, the struggles they managed to plow through. Could she stand by while they lost everything because of her? "Please," Claire begged, her voice shaky. "They need me. You can't just dismiss what they've accomplished, what we've accomplished together." "Watch yourself," Mrs. Howard hissed, her gaze icy. "We can dismiss you as easily as we've given you this opportunity. You're nothing without our blessing." Claire felt her heart stall, the weight of their words pressing down like a heavy stone. What did it mean for her? And for the twins? Just then, Ethan peeked around the corner, worry etched on his face. He caught Claire's eye, and for a brief moment, an unspoken connection surged, a reminder of all they had fought for. With a sudden rush of courage, Claire clenched her fists. "You can't take that away from us. If it comes to it, I'll fight for them. They deserve someone who believes in them." Silence swallowed the space. Mr. and Mrs. Howard exchanged glances filled with contempt, and Claire's heart raced, knowing the stakes just escalated. The storm was brewing, and she was standing at the eye of it. Would she dare defy their authority to protect the twins? Or would her fears about her future keep her silent? The truth was closing in fast. But it all hung in the balance. What would happen next? The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Claire felt time pause, a moment of suspended reality where the air crackled with tension. She could feel her heart thudding in her chest, louder than the murmurs of the crowd from the auditorium. Finally, Mr. Howard leaned in closer, an unsettling grin on his face. "You think this is about support? That's naive, Claire. Our world doesn't run on good intentions. It runs on appearances, on control. It would be wise for you to remember that." Claire's breath hitched. She thought about the carefully curated image the Howards portrayed to their guests, the perfect family, the flawless life, and how the twins didn't fit into that picture. But they were real. They felt. They hoped. "People deserve more than a facade," she said, her voice steadied by newfound determination. "Ethan and Ava are vibrant, full of talent, and they are more than what anyone labels them. You're wrong to think otherwise." Mrs. Howard's eyes narrowed. "You see, this is exactly the problem. We cannot have you instilling such ideas in them. They need to understand their place." "Places can change," Claire asserted. "I will support them no matter what. It's been their spark that brought the joy in this house. That's not a threat, it's a promise." When she spoke these words, a flicker of fear caught Mrs. Howard off guard, if only for a moment. She exchanged a shocked glance with her husband, as if reassessing their positions. Ethan still lingered just out of sight, and Claire thought of his courage. It echoed in her heart. Love and community could dismantle power. She took a step back, attempting to close the space that felt so frighteningly intimate with the couple who held her fate and the twins in their hands. "We will discuss your future," Mr. Howard finally said, a tinge of impatience creeping into his voice. "Consider this a warning." Heart pounding, Claire turned and walked away with purpose, forcing her steps to remain steady. She found Ethan and Ava waiting anxiously at the edge of the crowd, their expressions shifting between worry and expectation. "What happened?" Ava asked, her small voice trembling slightly. "Nothing that can't be worked out," Claire replied, forcing a confident smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. But inside, dread loomed large. Would the Howards carry through with their threat? Claire felt a need for solidarity, to rally Ethan and Ava, but feared what her decisions might mean for them. Could she handle the risk of defiance if it meant protecting their bond? They walked together toward an exit, light pouring through the doors like a new beginning. Claire glanced down at the twins, their fingers wrapped tightly around each other, drawing strength. She realized that in this moment, her defiance might ignite something more profound than just a fight against the Howards, it could empower them all. In the days to come, she would need allies. She needed to reach beyond the boundaries that confined them. As they stepped outside, the crisp night air filled her lungs, and new possibilities unfurled before her, but as they walked farther away from the mansion, a stirring unease settled within her. In the shadows, she sensed an observer's gaze, someone watching, someone waiting to see what would unfold. The moment of truth was approaching. Would Claire have the strength to face the inevitable fallout, or would it come down to more than just her fight? Como would her spirit and their bond hold up under scrutiny? Only time would reveal the outcome. The crisp night air tangled Claire's hair as they stepped away from the mansion. The lights from the house flickered like fading stars, casting a shadow over her newfound determination. Ethan and Ava walked in silence, their small hands intertwined, a gesture of unity against the uncertainty that loomed ahead. "Can we go home?" Ethan asked, breaking the stillness. His voice wavered slightly, revealing the tension he wasn't sure how to express. "Soon, I promise," Claire replied, her heart aching at the weariness etched on his face. "But first, we need to talk about what just happened." Ava's grip tightened. "Are we in trouble?" she whispered, her brow furrowing. "No, no," Claire assured, kneeling to meet her eye level. "You both are safe. It's just that we need to figure out our next steps." An idea sparked within her, a flicker of hope amidst the anxiety. "What if we reach out to some of the parents from your school? Maybe even the teachers? I know there are a few who care about you," she said, her voice gaining strength. Ethan's eyes brightened. "Ms. Patterson!" he exclaimed. "She always listens to us." "Exactly. We can share your story, show them how special you both are. If we tell more people, they might stand with us," Claire said, feeling the warmth of hope trickle into her heart. As they walked toward the car, their breaths creating puffs of steam in the night air, Claire felt a surge of courage. The twins were more than the Howard secret, they were fighters, and she was their ally, but just as they reached the vehicle, a shadow flitted past the corner of her eye. She turned, every muscle in her body tensing. A figure loomed a few parking spots over, barely visible under the flickering streetlight. Claire felt her breath quicken. "Who is that?" Ava asked, peering over at the dark outline. "I'm not sure," Claire murmured, moving instinctively in front of the twins, a protective barrier against the unknown. The figure took a step forward, revealing a familiar silhouette, one that made her stomach twist with unease. "Claire." A voice rang out, a voice she recognized, yet felt uneasy about. It was David, the Howard's eldest son. "What do you want?" Claire snapped, her frustration bubbling to the surface. "I want to help," he said, holding up his hands in a gesture of peace. "The way they treat Ethan and Ava, it's not right." Claire narrowed her eyes. "And why should I believe you?" David took a step closer, sincerity etched in his features. "Because I'm tired of pretending too. I want to let them use your support against you. We both know this system is broken." Ethan and Ava exchanged baffled glances, unsure where to place their trust. Claire felt the weight of his words press against her like a physical force. Could this be the ally she hoped for? "I can't make you trust me now," David continued, his voice steadying. "But I can show you the cracks in their facade. I can help you build a story that others can believe." Claire hesitated, searching his face for any hint of deception. She could feel the stakes escalating. The twins depended on her to protect their hopes, but could David truly be an ally? "Fine," she said finally, a mixture of caution and hope swelling within her. "But you need to understand our fight is for their future." David nodded, his expression gravely serious. "I understand. And I'll show you what I can do." As Claire opened the car door, the chill of the night air brushed against her skin, but inside, sparks of potential began to ignite. They were shifting into a new chapter of their fight, a reality where she wasn't alone. But the question loomed uncomfortably, Was David's involvement a chance for solidarity, or would it lead to deeper entanglements with the Howard's treacherous world? The journey ahead was marked with uncertainty, and Claire could feel each hesitant step echoing in her heart. What would she choose when secrets began unraveling? The car ride home was filled with an uneasy quiet, each of them lost in their thoughts. Claire stole glances at Ethan and Ava in the rearview mirror, worried about the storm brewing inside her. Both twins stared out their windows, locking eyes with the passing streetlights that flickered like their fading confidence. "Claire," Ethan finally said, breaking the silence, "do you think David really wants to help us?" His innocent question tugged at her heartstrings. I think he does," she replied carefully. "But it's hard to know who to trust, especially with everything that's happened." Ava's small voice piped up, "What if he tells his parents? What if they find out we talked to him?" Claire felt a jolt of fear at the idea. "Then we'll deal with it together," she said, trying to infuse confidence into her words. "We have to stay brave. No one can take your voices away if we stand strong." The kids nodded slowly, but the worry in their eyes lingered. Claire parked the car in their small driveway, taking a moment to inhale deeply before facing the reality of home. As she led the twins inside, the familiar creak of the wooden floorboards felt comforting. "Let us get cozy for a bit," she suggested, ushering them to the living room where the warmth of the fireplace beckoned. The three of them snuggled under a soft blanket on the couch, the flames casting a gentle glow against their worried faces. Ethan leaned against Claire, who wrapped her arm around him, savoring the closeness. "Can we really talk to Ms. Patterson tomorrow?" Ava asked, her voice wavering between hope and disbelief. "Absolutely," Claire affirmed, trying to inject a sense of urgency and optimism into her tone. "We need to tell her what's going on. If she can help, maybe other parents will listen too." The twins exchanged a glance, the flickering candlelight flickering in their eyes. That silent communication they had always shared felt like a small lifeline amidst their uncertainty. Just then, Claire's phone buzzed, pulling her away from that moment of solace. It was a text from David. "I hope you're home safe. When you're ready, I can share some information that could help." Her stomach turned at the message. Part of her wanted to ignore it, to cast aside the danger he might bring. But another part nudged her, it was a chance to gather allies. "What is it?" Ethan asked, noticing Claire's change in demeanor. "It's just David," she admitted, her voice betraying her skittishness. "He's saying he wants to help more." The twins stiffened, their expressions shifting from concern to fear. "Can we trust him?" Ava whispered cautiously. "I don't know," Claire sighed. "But maybe there's no way to know until we see what he has to say." Outside, the wind howled, a sound that echoed the turmoil inside her. She weighed her options, to involve David further, or to shield the twins from more entanglements. "Claire," Ethan said tentatively, "do you think he's like them?" Her heart raced at the implication, the fear that they might be drawing in another enemy instead of a friend. Yet they needed allies, people who could challenge what the Howards represented. Claire took a deep breath, making her decision. "We'll meet with him," she said firmly. "But I need you both to promise me something. Whatever happens, we don't break apart. We stick together, no matter what." "Together," they echoed, their voices filled with a shared resolve. As Claire sat back, the fire crackled rustily, illuminating the new path ahead, filled with equal parts dread and excitement. But what awaited them when they turned the next corner? Was there bravery enough to overcome the dark shadows surrounding them? Tomorrow would hold its own set of challenges, layers of hidden truths yet to unveil. The morning light barely broke through the clouds, casting a muted glow over the neighborhood. Claire felt the heaviness in the air as she stood in the kitchen, the aroma of brewing coffee barely managing to lift the weight off her shoulders. She tried to focus on the mundane tasks, pouring cereal for Ethan and Ava, buttering toast, but her mind spiraled with thoughts about the meeting ahead. "Mom." Ethan's voice pulled her from her reverie. He was standing at the table, his fingers tracing the edge of a flower-patterned napkin. "Are you okay?" Looking into his wide eyes, Claire realized how much he could sense her turmoil. She forced a smile, though it felt like lifting a brick. "I'm fine, sweetie. Just a little worried about today." Ava joined them, her hair a messy halo from sleep. "Is it bad we're meeting David? What if he's just pretending to be nice?" "Nothing will change if we don't try," Claire replied softly. "We won't know unless we take that step." The twins nodded, still unsure but trusting her words. After breakfast, Claire helped them get ready, tucking in their shirts and adjusting collars. As she fastened Ethan's tie, he squirmed. "Do I have to wear this?" "You look sharp, buddy," she said gently, ruffling his hair. It felt good to have the normal routine as a brief escape. But behind her amusement was the tight knot of anxiety. With a few minutes to spare, they all piled into the car, the silence heavier than before. Claire's heart thundered in her chest as they drove to school, each passing street sign magnifying her worries. Ethan and Ava remained quiet, stealing glances at one another and matching their nervous energy like a duo of quiet echoes. When they arrived, Claire parked in a spot far from the entrance, hoping to buy time to gather her racing thoughts. "Okay, remember what we talked about yesterday," she instructed, looking each of them in the eye. "We're together, no matter what. You both are so strong, and we'll figure this out." Ethan squeezed her hand as they stepped out of the car, a flicker of courage shining through. "We can do this," Ava added, her voice growing more steady. Claire couldn't help but smile at their eagerness mixed with fear. They walked toward the school entrance, crickets of chatter ringing in their ears. The usual school buzz sometimes felt suffocating. As they neared the door, Claire spotted David sitting on a bench, his eyes fixated on the pavement. "Come on, let's go," Claire whispered, ushering the twins forward despite the butterflies dancing in her stomach. "Wait," Ethan said suddenly, gripping her arm. "What if he flips and tells his parents? What if he's lying?" "We won't know until we talk to him," Claire urged, her voice steady despite her own trepidation. "If he is bad news, we'll handle it together." The kids nodded, and Claire felt a surge of urgency, almost overwhelming. She took a deep breath and stepped forward, trying to mask the knot in her throat. "David," she called out, her voice trembling just slightly. He looked up, and Claire caught a flash of empathy in his gaze. As they approached, Ava murmured, "What if this is a trap?" Claire grabbed her hand tightly, holding on as if they could substitute fear with strength. "Hey," David said cautiously, standing up. "Thanks for coming." He was different than she remembered, more serious and earnest. Claire felt drawn into his intensity, a mixture of hope and dread knotted together in her heart. "Let's talk," Claire suggested firmly. But the weight of the moment pressed down, a mix of fear and anticipation throbbing in the air. What really lay beyond his words? Just then, a shadow loomed behind them. Turning around, Claire's breath caught in her throat, realizing they had opened the door to something much bigger and potentially dangerous. What would they unravel in this unexpected confrontation? Would they find the answers they desperately sought, or was it too late to turn back? The figure behind them loomed larger than life, a heaviness that seemed to crush the air around them. Claire's stomach turned, panic threatening to erupt. For a split second, she wanted to turn and run, to shield her children from whatever storm was about to break. But she couldn't. She wouldn't. "Who are you?" Claire demanded, her voice firm but shaky. The shadow stepped forward, revealing a stern-faced man in a dark suit. There was an unsettling familiarity in his gaze, as if he had been a constant presence lurking just out of sight. David stiffened beside her. "Mr. Whitaker," he said, almost in a whisper. "David," Mr. Whitaker replied coldly, squaring his shoulders. "You should know better than to talk to them." Claire's heart raced. This was the person David had been afraid of. Why? Why can't they talk to me? David's voice trembled with defiance. "I thought we were going to discuss this together." The man swept a dismissive hand. "This is not a discussion. This is a warning," he shot back, and Claire noticed the way David flinched, the boy she had seen just moments ago regain a flicker of strength, now retreating into fear. Claire took a step forward, placing herself between David and Mr. Whittaker. Her protective instinct surged. If you're a threat to these kids, I won't back down. I won't let you intimidate us. The atmosphere around them crackled with tension, and Ethan and Ava stood frozen, eyes wide, faces pale. Claire's own hands trembled slightly, but she held her ground. Threat? Mr. Whittaker scoffed. No, I'm just doing what any responsible guardian would do. He doesn't need you meddling in his life. Guardians protect kids, not silence them. Claire shot back, her heart pounding as she fought for the truth. Is that so? Mr. Whittaker's voice dripped with disdain. Maybe you don't know the whole story. David needs to learn his place. You can't just show up and expect him to change. Change? I'm trying to help. David interjected, his voice stronger now. This is my life too. The fight in him sparked something in Claire hope. She looked at David, seeing the determination beginning to flicker in his eyes. Perhaps he wasn't as lost as Whittaker wanted him to believe. David deserves a say in his own life, Claire insisted. The real world isn't just about following orders or being told what to do. He deserves to have support, love, and a voice. Mr. Whittaker's expression hardened, and Claire braced for whatever threat he might throw at her next. You think you can just waltz in here, play the hero, and everything will magically change? You have no idea what you're dealing with, he hissed, the menace palpable, fear lanced through Claire, but it was matched with a fierce resolve. I may not have the full picture, but I'm not walking away from this. Not now. Ethan finally found his voice. Ms. Claire is right. We can help David if we work together. The words hung in the air, breaking some of the tension. Claire held her breath, a mixture of dread and hope flooding through her. She could see the battle raging within David, and she couldn't help but want to comfort him, help him to see that he had allies, even in the face of danger. Listening to children is never a mistake, she said quietly, taking a chance. Let us all talk, just this once. For their sake. The shadows seemed to stretch as silence enveloped them. Mr. Whittaker's gaze flicked between her, the twins, and David. With each heartbeat, Claire wondered what would happen next. Would they find a way out, or would shadows win this round? Uncertainty hung in the air like damp fog, thick and suffocating. She could feel the jaws of fate tightening around them, preparing for the next move. What would happen when secrets came to light? Would they shatter or strengthen everything they were fighting for? The night was thick with tension, suffocating in its intensity. Claire stood firm, her heart pounding, as Mr. Whittaker's cold gaze bore into her. In the silence that stretched between them, an unspoken challenge hung heavy in the air. Do you really think you can change anything? He asked, a twisted smile creeping onto his lips. These children are better off without you in the equation. Better off? Claire repeated, her voice steady despite the swirling storm of emotions within her. You think isolation is better? David deserves to be seen, to be heard. You're not protecting him, you're smothering him. David shifted beside her, each breath a whisper of hope. Ms. Claire, he began, his voice cracking, I don't want to live in silence. Mr. Whittaker's face flushed with fury. Silence is what you need, boy. You have no idea what lies outside these walls. Then help me understand, David shot back, eyes ablaze with newfound determination. I want to choose my own path. Claire could see the realization dawning on him, glimmering like a flickering candle in the dark, and it propelled her own heart forward. And I will help you, David. You deserve someone fighting for you. Ethan and Ava exchanged a quick glance, the weight of the moment settling over them like a blanket. Then, softly but firmly, Ava stepped closer. We want to help too. We can all be brave together. Mr. Whittaker's eyes narrowed, disbelief etched on his face. This isn't a game, kids. You think you can just band together and defy the rules? He waved a hand dismissively, but in that moment, Claire sensed weakness beneath his bluster. We're not playing, Claire replied, her voice strong and unwavering. We're standing together. You may try to keep David from living his life, but that won't last. He has us now, and that makes a difference. Silence enveloped them like a shroud, thick and silent. Claire could feel David's fear ease just a bit. He turned to her, his expression shifting from apprehension to something resembling trust. You mean it? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Claire nodded, determination blazing in her eyes. With everything I have. Mr. Whittaker's features hardened, a storm brewing behind them. You'll regret this, he warned, teeth gritted in thinly veiled rage. You know nothing of the real world. I know enough to stand up for what's right, she shot back. And I won't back down. Feeling the power of unity, Claire stepped closer to David, the twins following suit. The four of them stood against the towering figure of Mr. Whittaker, a single force of courage against intimidation. Together, Ethan whispered, his voice barely audible, but it held the weight of a promise. The shadows around them seemed to shift, a faint tremor of uncertainty rippling through Mr. Whittaker. For the first time, doubt clouded his cold, calculating gaze. Children shouldn't be burdened with adult decisions, he spat, but there was an edge to his tone. Perhaps he realized that they were more than he anticipated. Then it's time for a new approach, Claire said, her heart racing with the thrill of the stakes. And just as those words hung suspended in the air, a sudden crashing sound came from behind them, a door slamming, footsteps echoing, a new presence entering the fray. David's heart raced with anticipation. Who's there? Claire's stomach dropped. They weren't alone anymore. The question now sat heavy on everyone's minds, who had come to join their battle, and what new challenges awaited them with this unexpected arrival. The heavy tension in the air thickened as footsteps approached, echoing through the stillness like the rising tide of hope and fear. Claire turned, her heart pounding like a drum. Had they summoned help, or was it another threat? The door swung open with a creaking shudder, revealing Ms. Patterson, the twins' beloved teacher. Her presence radiated warmth and strength, a beacon in the overwhelming darkness. What's happening here? She demanded, eyes steady, locking onto Mr. Whittaker's with an intensity that sent a ripple through the group. Claire felt a surge of relief wash over her. This was the ally they needed. Ms. Patterson, Claire began, but Mr. Whittaker cut her off, indignation rising like a storm cloud. This doesn't concern you. These children should remain silent. The word silent slithered from his lips like venom. Ms. Patterson stepped closer, her voice unwavering. Children deserve to be heard, especially when they carry as much courage as these do. She gestured toward Ethan, Ava, and David, who stood in solidarity. Claire felt their energy strengthen, a chorus of shared bravery filling the air. Courage? Mr. Whittaker's sneer deepened. They're just misled by this woman. He pointed a finger at Claire, then turned to the others. You think you can protect them from reality? But Ms. Patterson wasn't backing down. Do you truly believe that shutting them out is protecting them? Her words pierced through him, unraveling his cold defenses. They need to learn how to face the world, not cower in the shadows. Claire's heart soared slightly. This was it, the moment where hope could override fear. Mr. Whittaker, they need support, not walls. David deserves a chance to choose his own path just like Ethan and Ava. We're all here, ready to face whatever comes next together. The air grew electric with a possibility of fragile understanding that felt just beyond their grasp. And that's how change begins, Ms. Patterson added, her voice steady. The very foundation of the world they had all known trembled at her promise. These kids are not merely reflections of their parents, they're individuals with stories worth telling. Beneath Mr. Whittaker's hardened expression, Claire sensed a crack, a flicker of uncertainty as he glanced between Ms. Patterson and the collective strength radiating from the trio. "You're making a mistake," he muttered, voice barely louder than a whisper, as if struggling to maintain his grip on the narrative. "No," Claire declared. "The mistake is silencing those who crave to be heard." She stepped closer, brazenly locking eyes with him. "It's time for a new story, one where love and understanding replace fear and control." Just then, the tension broke, like ice melting under the weight of sunlight. "I'm not afraid anymore," David said, his voice cutting through the air, resonant and sure. "I want to decide who I am, and I want to help others just like me." A wave of solidarity washed over Claire, Ava, and Ethan, who stood beside him, their breaths mingling with the urgency of the moment. "And we're not backing down," Ethan added, his small hand gripping Ava's. "Not together." Silence hung like an open promise. The air shifted slightly, fate dangling in the balance. Mr. Whittaker, for the first time, appeared shaken. "You think this changes anything?" he said, but his voice lacked its previous bite. Claire saw the uncertainty marring his features. "Yes, it does," Ms. Patterson affirmed. "We're not merely speaking for ourselves, we're speaking for countless others who have lived in silence, who've wanted a voice." Claire nodded, a spark igniting deep within her. She turned to the twins and David, the emotional bond binding them tight. "Together, we'll create that voice." The resolve seemed to envelop them all, a magnetic force. Claire felt a warmth swell in her chest, pushing the sadness aside. They could reshape the narrative not just for themselves but as champions of a new era. Let us not wait for change. Let us make it. The words slipped from her mouth, a vow that would carry them all forward. Mr. Whittaker faltered, retreating. Slightly, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. "You have no idea what you're up against. And you may underestimate how determined we are," Claire replied with quiet strength, the moment stretched outward like branches of a blossoming tree, roots intertwining under the surface while hope unfurled its first flowers. No longer would they live in the shadows of others' expectations. They were a formidable force, diverse and filled with fire, threats crumbling before their resolve. "We're leaving," Claire decided firmly, taking a step back toward David, Ethan, and Ava. They took a collective breath, a promise held in that space. They were ready to face whatever came next, and as they moved forward, Claire felt the light filtering through the clouds, illuminating the road ahead. They were stepping into a new beginning, one filled with the promise of change, understanding, and the unwavering strength of a family forged through love and hope. Together, they were unstoppable. Now, it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support means everything. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, what resonated with you. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation and this incredible journey. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Only true fans understand the power of coming together. Join us and let us spread the message far and wide.